A high school senior in Utah was the subject to public shaming, a lot of it from across the country, because of the dress that she wore to prom. Watch.
A single post with a one-word caption and 4 photos changed everything.
I was accused of racism, cultural appropriation. I didn't mean any harm or racist intent.
That's Keziah Dom, and the dress she wore is called a chai pao. It is commonly worn in China. In response to the photos, Twitter user Jeremy Lamb tweeted this, quote, "My culture is not your bleeping prom dress," whatever that means, but his tweet received almost 180,000 likes. Ironically, the chai pao isn't actually from China originally. It was appropriated from a neighboring non-Chinese culture, but whatever, details don't matter in 2018. Kathy Aru is founding publisher of Catalina Magazine, and she is, of course, our liberal Sherpa, guiding us through the labyrinth of this modern world. So, Kathy, it's great to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Hi.
This raises, look, I get it. She unintentionally, but still appropriated a cultural talisman from a culture that's not hers. But does this go both ways? Does this mean that, Chinese people are wearing neckties, which is a Western invention? Are they committing cultural appropriation by doing that?
Well, what she did is almost like an exploitation of a culture. She's exploiting it. It's appropriation because she is taking advantage of a culture she doesn't really know much about. I don't think a businessman, a Chinese businessman, doesn't understand the Western culture. He understands what the tie is. He understands what the suit is. But she had no idea what this dress meant and what it's about, and she didn't even appreciate it. One of her comments was, "It's just a effing dress." I mean, this is a culture. She borrowed a culture, and she cared so little to appreciate it. So definitely wrong.
So if she had loved the dress more, would it have been better?
She loved the dress. She knew so little about the background. She said she loved it because it would give her attention. She loved the attention it would give her. And then she took those pictures in these poses that were, I think she thought were Asian poses, but they were actually Vape Nation and promoting some YouTuber that is controversial in itself. And she's praying to Papa John's Pizza. That's what that pose is. So that wasn't a pose that is appreciating a culture. That's a pose mocking a culture and promoting a YouTuber.
The Papa John's culture?
It's a YouTube. Well, no, she's taking.
But what about? This is not the only form of cultural appropriation from China. People use chopsticks. They eat Chinese food. College students have Chinese characters whose meaning they don't know tattooed on their bodies. Are all of those out of bounds now, too? Well,
they say appropriation and appreciation is a fine line, and it seems like she was. Well, apparently she didn't understand that she maybe is not a racist, but what she did was a form of racism.
So what you're saying is that white people ought to stick just to white culture and celebrate white culture?
No, what I'm saying.
Oh, you're not saying that. So what are you saying? I'm getting confused, because I thought you're saying that white people should stay in their lane and just stick with white culture and celebrate their own culture, right? Is that what you're saying?
She clearly used this for personal gain. She wanted the attention. She was in the middle of all those photos. She wanted it for personal gain. She put it on Twitter, on Facebook. It was for attention. It wasn't like eating Chinese food and enjoying the deliciousness of Chinese food.
People actually wear dresses for attention. That's sort of what they are. So I wonder, though, what about people from other cultures, from Asian cultures, who dye their hair blonde but don't fully understand the culture of blondness? Is that cultural appropriation?
I think they understand and they're appreciating it. It's not a majority culture taking advantage of a minority culture. It's not someone's dipping into a culture and stealing an element for personal gain.
White Americans are a tiny percentage of global culture, of course. They did invent the airplanes.
This happened in Utah. So
of course it did, but this is a global phenomenon. So let me ask you,
is there any majority culture? She did it here. To mock people from elsewhere.
I don't know if she was mocking. So this does raise an interesting question, though, about assimilation. So assimilation, which we've thought for hundreds of years was a good thing, is the process of cultural appropriation. I come in and I take parts of your culture and make them my own. I adopt your culture.
Well,
we thought that was good, but now the idea is that everyone stays in their own culture, and then, of course, by definition, hates every other culture. But
there's assimilation and there's appropriation, and she didn't do this to assimilate, to get to know a culture. She did it to just enjoy it for an evening, get as much fame and publicity out of it as she could on Twitter and Facebook and social media, and just step right out. So how convenient.
But let me ask you this: when
How
someone
convenient.
from Dubai flies on an airplane, which was, of course, invented by the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk,
Right.
why isn't that an even more effect? And just gets on the plane and has a glass of champagne and doesn't think about the contribution of these Ohio brothers to flight. That's not cultural appropriation?
They are, but I don't think that they're getting anything. They're not hurting anyone, and they're not offending anyone by doing so. And when she put on that dress, she hurt and offended others, and that's what happened.
She really hurt them. Maybe she should go to prison. We're going to discuss that next week. Kathy Ruth, thank you.
Bye.